Welcome to Your Future in Sales and Marketing, a podcast that helps you make great career decisions to get the most out of your career journey. We'll introduce you to the AXR network of established senior leaders and a handpicked group of future aspiring leaders who have it all in front of them. You'll learn what it's like in the top job and how to get there. Your hosts from AXR's specialist sales and marketing recruitment team will also land bonus episodes for you on how to work with recruiters, write a resume, and smash an interview, as well as our very popular market updates. It's the podcast that has it all. You can't get this career advice anywhere else.
Welcome back to How To Series podcast by AXR Recruitment and Search. I'm Nick Constain. I'm here with Amanda and Zara. And today we're going to talk about how to write a good resume. So got some key points for you guys. I think this is a really crucial topic that we get lots of questions about. And the first thing I would have to say is it's really important to keep it simple. We often see resumes with all these crazy charts and colors and icons. And I think that's something that is very distracting. And most of our clients don't like that. I guess that's mostly from an accounting and finance perspective, I guess. But I would say to use, keep it clean, keep it simple. Try not to overdo with the amount of detail, 3 to 5 pages max, and just make sure that you're really, really clear and concise with the information that you're giving.
I think as well, you want to balance out the level of detail that you're going into. So it's great to have a detailed resume to an extent, to go through some real highlights and to be able to talk about your skills, but you also need to be able to capture people. So what we generally tell people is use your first page as almost like an elevator pitch. So do a really good summary of your career to date, highlight some really strong achievements, the main skills that you're trying to get across, just to be noticed and to make people, it's almost like the blurb of a book. You want someone to look at the first page of your CV and think, oh, I must know more about this person, and then be wanting to flick to the next page and read it again in a lot more detail. So yeah, I think use the first page as a way of really concisely and accurately depicting how you want to come across, but also to capture the hiring manager's attention.
Yeah, completely. I guess in addition to that, I think context is really critical to your CV or your resume. It's all well and good to have great information, achievements, details about yourself on there, but if they don't necessarily have context to them or the right information or flow nicely together, then it's really difficult or it doesn't make any sense. In terms of context, the main things that I would suggest is having like a brief one-liner for each of the different sections. So for example, if you have your first role, you'll have, going off examples that we might see in finance, you might have finance manager at X company. You may work for a really large Australian business that everyone knows really well. For example, like a Telstra, people know what they do, but you might also work for a business that has a great brand name, but people don't know too much about them in terms of they could be large, they could be small, how many employees are in that business and what their core operations or service or product offering is. So it's great to have an introduction into what the role is, what the role was doing, and then also the business and what the business does. I think that's really relevant to, lots of the roles you're applying or where your career is going to. And in terms of as well, sometimes you might have key achievements in there or other different like qualifications in addition to university, context around them too, so people can really understand. Otherwise, sometimes it can be difficult to delve into what's in your CV.
Yeah, I agree. And going into achievements, I think it's really important to split your responsibilities and achievements. We often see resumes where you just see what they've done and it's almost like they just put in bullet points like, what they're responsible on a day-to-day, but there's no value add with that type of resume. The value add is the achievements and how you measure those achievements. So I always say it's like achievement-based resumes should be based on the things that you've accomplished and how you've done them. And that should then insinuate what your responsibility was. So for example, from a finance perspective, you're doing month-end reporting, but you could easily just say, I cut down the month-end reporting time from 7 days to 3 days. That's a fantastic achievement that you can measure. And you also knocked out a responsibility in the same sentence. So that's probably what I would suggest in terms of that.
I think as well, just going on top of the achievements, like numbers are really important. A perfect example with month end, like saying reduced month end, but by how much? Like, what does that actually mean? Putting numbers and metrics within your achievements gives us a lot more context. It puts together like what that achievement actually was, what was the impact it had on the business after you had that achievement, essentially. How did that make other people's lives around you easier? How did you make your team more efficient? By how much? It just gives a bit more of a story.
Absolutely. And I think anything that you can quantify in time or dollars, you're already giving them an immediate picture of what the value you're going to add.
Because they're looking at you thinking, okay, but what does that mean for us? What does that look like in the picture or whatever? And then that actually makes them think, okay, I can see that. I can imagine it.
Yeah. And even with that, using words like increase, decrease, then also the numbers, the percentages, etc., make it so straightforward.
So what do you guys think about cover letters? Because I think generally speaking, the mixed review.
Yeah.
I guess what's been your impression?
Yeah, great question. And I think, but as well, we get asked it all the time by candidates in terms of, do I need a cover letter, or you see applications with them and without. Talking to the colleagues, I think we as a group in terms of accounting and finance recruitment compared to our colleagues in the sales and marketing space have differing opinions. I think I don't necessarily see them as relevant. I think a lot of the information for us is in a CV, and we'll delve into that with candidates so that we can properly understand it. There's no need to write out a cover letter and just, reiterate what's in there or who you are as an individual. I think that's as recruiters as well. If we're presenting candidates to jobs, that's where we come into play. We're almost the cover letter. We'll give clients, a summary, go through a lot of those details that would be in a cover letter anyway.
I think that's exactly what I was going to say. Like, the beauty about working with recruiters is that your recruiters can be your cover letter in many ways. Cover letters are often written as like a to whom it may concern. You don't know who you're sending it to. You're just using it as part of your application. You don't know who's going to be reading it. And therefore, there's not that much context of how you can really make it relevant to them. A recruiter, knowing the business that we're putting you forward to, knowing exactly what they're looking for, we can be your cover letter and talk about your profile and you as a person in a way that's really relevant to them and has a lot of context of this is how this person's going to come in and solve the problem. I think if you're really attached to writing a cover letter and it's really important to you, steer clear of the typical, I have attention to detail, I have a good attitude, those sorts of things. Everybody should have attention to detail. I think you want to minimize the fluff and really sell yourself very, very well in a very direct manner. If it's something very specific that you think giving a bit more context in a cover letter is important, just get to the point.
If you're gonna have it, it needs to be a value add.
100%.
I think from a candidate who's applying to companies' perspective, they often are required to write a cover letter. And so what I would say is highly customized, intentional with what you're doing in terms of the messaging that you're going to be sending, and highly relevant to the role, and tying the knot in how you fit all three of those pieces. I think that's essential. So the last topic is a little bit left of field, but it's the LinkedIn profile. I think it's an interesting topic. I've actually had candidates get rejected jobs because their LinkedIn doesn't match their resume. And I think it's a really, really important topic to have. As you hit the market, you should really spend the time on your LinkedIn profile, and it should almost be a very high level abbreviated version of your resume that's consistent with dates, companies, education, all that, your CA, if you're, the accounting audits. So I think it's essential that you guys really mirror that.
I think something about LinkedIn that people don't realize as well is that LinkedIn is a really good tool to be found. Like, we use LinkedIn a lot. That's how we headhunt people, is we find people on LinkedIn. Make yourself findable. Don't get attached to like a title, for example, that's really left of field. That's a different way of expressing what you do. It might make you feel unique, or it might be part of your company's culture to have like different cool titles. If your title is different and we're typing in certain titles to find people and you're not being included in that search, you're shooting yourself in the foot. So make sure, if you are, like, when you are updating your LinkedIn, you want to stand out, but you also want to sort of fit into certain metrics that makes you findable.
Sure. Thank you so much. This is our how-to series from AXR Recruitment and Search.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
We hope you enjoyed today's podcast from AXR Recruitment and Search. We're passionate about helping you get the most out of your sales and marketing career. Keep listening as we bring you more career insights and advice from Australia's inspiring sales and marketing leaders. See you next time on Your Future in Sales and Marketing.